Since the beginning, humanity has developed many rules and laws for society. Saying please and thank you, offering up your seat for the elderly, or helping your friend up after they fell, obviously after you laugh. Laws are essentially set into place so we as human species can cohabit this earth instead of just one big violent, bloody game of King of the Hill. But sometimes laws can seem unfair, random, or just downright crazy. Where would you rule the line between the strange and acceptable? While there have been many strange and perhaps frustrating laws over the years, these are 5 that stand out as seemingly random. Some of them might hold good intentions and good reasons, but we still question some of these. Let us know down in the comments of any rules and laws that you have heard of that's absolutely bonkers. The ban of chewing gum sales in Singapore. Alright, so let's be serious. How many times have you gone to sit down on a public bench or public transport and then you stick your hand against one of those dry or sometimes still wet chewing gums? Ugh. Well, the Singapore leaders felt the exact same way. With chewing gum littering stairways, pavements, public transport, keyholes, and even being discarded in mailboxes. Let's not even get into the rising cost of replacing cleaning equipment and maintenance upkeep for these public spaces. The gum litter was especially a problem in the public transport systems of Singapore. The country had profoundly implemented the newest $5 billion local railway system, the Mass Rapid Transit, which was the largest public project ever implemented in Singapore at the time. You can imagine how proud the country was of the new MRT system. Despite the glowing pride of this new transport system, vandals had reportedly been sticking their chewing gum in the door systems in the trains, causing malfunctions and disruptions to the train service. These incidents, although rare, were costly to fix and could cause massive disruptions to those that relied on the trains for transport to work. Plus, it was difficult to apprehend the vandals themselves. Despite these problems, Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew thought an outright ban on chewing gum was too drastic. However, in January 1992, the newest Prime Minister, Goh Chok Tong, had had enough and decided to implement the ban. The restrictions on the distribution of chewing gum was enacted in Singapore Statute Chapter 57, the Control of Manufacture Act. This act also restricted the sales of certain alcohol and tobacco products, which goes to show how serious the newest leader handled this sticky situation. After the ban was announced, imports of chewing gum were ground to a halt, followed by a brief transition period to allow shops to clear their stock of the excess contraband. The sale of gum was completely banned, and you can get stuck with a fine of $2,000 if gum were found anywhere in your establishment. In extreme cases, importers of gum could be sentenced to jail time, and the chewing gum was immediately confiscated. Now, if that's not biting off more than you can chew. This ban obviously caused massive controversy in Singapore, some openly defying the new law. For many of these people, it meant traveling to their neighboring country in Malaysia, specifically Johor Bahru, to get their fix. Hey man, sometimes a man's gotta chew what a man's gotta chew. This is then where the Singapore government decided to go back to an old parenting 101, shaming. The court offenders were publicly humiliated by the government to try and deter would-be smugglers. Funny enough though, despite the demand, no black market emerged for chewing gum, although small-scale smuggling attempts still occurred for personal consumption. Despite the controversy and public outcry, town councils reported a massive decrease in chewing gum litter in public spaces. No more brushing hands against some stranger's germ ball, no more keyholes being jammed up by guck, and no more disrupted MRT systems from door malfunctions. Since then, the ban has been partially lifted, allowing the use of certain medical gums such as those with dental health benefits. However, the law is still in place today to prevent the risk of gum litter increasing again. This brings us to our second law, the ban of pigeon feeding in Venice. Where once pigeons used to be noble creatures, domesticated by humans to send messages over long distances, they are now seen as a common and sometimes annoying occurrence within cities. In Venice alone, there was estimated to be 100,000 of these little creatures, almost twice as big as the resident human population. While many may know Venice as a beautiful chain of 118 tiny islands in the shallow Venetian lagoon, famous for its beautiful architecture, art, music, and food, as well as the potential for being out in the waterways on a romantic boat ride. Seems like, according to the locals, birds of a feather must flock together, and the pigeons sure took that to heart. The origins of this mass outbreak reportedly stem from a tradition in releasing small amounts of pigeons from the gallery on Palm Sunday. Paper was tied around their feet to weigh them down, keeping them in the town square to be easily picked up and transferred to a cooking pot. Those that survived were allowed to roam and ultimately multiply in numbers, leading to tens of thousands roosting in Venice today. As tastes in meat changed, these familiar little faces went from making waves in gravy to making waves in social media. Pictures of the adorable pigeon jackets went viral, showcasing tourists covered in these friendly and docile birds. The secret behind those photos? Vendors, happily selling feed for excitable travelers to attract the lovable birds. With free food and practically guaranteed safety within the city, a handful of pigeons quickly became several thousand. The cost of cleaning quickly escalated, with pigeon guano painting the town literally white. The old wives' tale of a bird pooping on your shoulder being good luck likely wore itself thin with overuse. Yet even still, the pigeons got away with nearly anything within Venice. With this increase in cleaning costs, as well as concerns for damage in the stones from pecking beaks and scratching feet, a difficult decision had to be made. In 1997, a pigeon feeding ban was announced for the city, initially excluding Piazza San Marco, the main tourist destination within the city. However, pigeons are intelligent creatures, and they became focused on the spot, leading to masses of flapping wings and feathery bombardment of anyone walking by. So, with heavy hearts, the city made this ban on pigeon feeding citywide in 2008. Law number 3. The Smile Law of Milan. Everyone has a neutral resting face. Me, for example, I have a resting... Oh, sorry, I'm not allowed to say that on here. It's basically the expression we have when we're caught off guard, in our own little world, our own personal bubble, or just focusing on previous events that unfolded during the day. Some say that those with the scariest resting faces are actually the nicest people to talk to. If you had to look in the mirror right now, what sort of expression would you have? Well, in case you ever happen upon a time machine and find yourself in Milan 1326, you had better hope your resting face is a happy one. For the Public Decency Act announced the decree that all citizens and tourists must always come fully dressed with their best smile. This law went so far as to rule that anybody caught with anything less than a grin would have a choice to make: pay a hefty fine or attempt smile therapy. Yes, police officers actually went around checking faces to make sure that all walking the streets were beaming with joy and pride, enforcing this strange law. But where did it originate from? What made Milan suddenly enforce a standard that everybody should try to outbeam the sun? Well, rumors have it that during a gloomy period in Milan's history left everybody struggling with financial insecurity and depression. In an attempt to lift citizens' spirits, city leaders held a council, and perhaps after several glasses of wine, decided to mandate smiles for all. Personal expression is important, and eventually police and leaders realized this. Perhaps this wacky law came from a good place, but realistically, it can't be upheld forever. Whether it was really enforced or not is still up for debate. Yet this strange law inspired many pieces of souvenirs and keepsakes, such as t-shirts and mugs to remind you to smile. Number 4. The dirty car laws in the UAE. The UAE is home to a proud community that values cleanliness. After all, a clean city is a happy and healthy one. Civic authorities value the beauty of public spaces and encourage residents to have the same pride in their surroundings, creating a truly remarkable scene. Now imagine this beautiful clean scenery and someone flies in with their dirty, grimy PT Cruiser blasting "Who Let the Dogs Out" in the middle of it all. It ruins the aesthetic a little, don't you think? To me, it wouldn't matter that much. But to the UAE, for instance, washing your car in the wrong spot can land you in trouble faster than a camel can run. The UAE civic authorities are like the car wash police, making sure no soul dares to dirty up their squeaky clean streets with a rogue hose. You thought you could just whip out the hose and spray away? Not in the UAE. Car washing is only allowed in a certified eco-friendly car wash. The rules are so strict, even leaving your car dirty in public can cost you a pretty penny. Now imagine your lazy friend who became a repeat offender. You'll be coughing up to 4,000 dirham faster than a sneeze in a sandstorm. Law number 5. Kinder egg ban in the US and other countries. Have you ever wondered why Kinder Surprise eggs are illegal in some places, mainly the USA? And it's not just because of the choking hazard in the toy. Kinder Surprise is the ultimate chocolate egg Easter basket. Inside each capsule, you'll find a tiny toy treasure, sometimes needing a little DIY assembly. Talk about an excellent blend of sweet and playtime. The story behind Kinder Surprise is sweeter than the chocolate itself. An Italian Easter tradition combined with a smart idea from Michele Ferrero and brought to life by William Salice made these eggs a real treat from then on. It's not hard to believe they've sold around 30 billion eggs worldwide. Unfortunately, in 2000, some sad events made people want to ban these eggs in the UK and in the US. A strict 1938 law says no candy with toys inside unless the toy is useful enough to be considered a tool. The US Customs and Border Protection is serious about keeping these eggs out, enough so that they fined a man from Canada from bringing just a single egg across the border. In Belgium, a serious scandal occurred in 2022. Around 20 people were hospitalized for an unexpected surprise within the eggs. The surprise being salmonella. Yikes. Because of this, in Canada, Ferrero Canada Limited had to recall a mass of chocolate products, including some Kinder Surprise eggs. And there you have it, the 5 crazy laws that stood out to us. From squeaky clean cars to forced friendly smiles, and even birds for miles and miles. If you like this video and our owl, please click on like to pat on its head and subscribe to feed it a little snack. Join us next time for a mystery that has left researchers baffled for a century. Or try our video on Atlantis here. Thank you.